Well, as Lee said, I do have a bit of a background in radio, nowhere near as long as Lee's, however, so she is the consummate interviewer here. So I'm very honoured that you've asked me to come and sit in this chair by default. But so I got to know Lee when I went to her very first Connect Her meeting. Even though we did both work at the same radio station, our paths didn't really cross very much. And I've come to certainly know her as an action woman. I mean, Lara Croft is who springs to mind, but your real life action woman is someone like Lee Cummins, who just gets in and gets stuff happening. So with that in mind, Lee, just give us a little bit of a background about, you know, clearly you come from that notion of being of service, helping people out, you know, community stuff is what you're good at. How long have you been in that kind of capacity, serving businesses, small to medium enterprises, helping people get the best out of their business?
Well, it's been a while, Jane. So I started helping and working with pharmacies years and years ago, like probably when I was in my 20s. And I used to help them with their training of their staff, so making sure that they delivered optimum customer service, their marketing, and also their in-store procedures, as well as looking at what their gross profit was, their margins, how they were pricing, all that sort of thing. So it was really go into each store and work with them individually. So then I was asked to actually create that business for a group of pharmacists, and that's how I ended up in Melbourne, actually, because the business, they gave me the concept of what they wanted, and within 12 months the business was profitable. And they couldn't believe it. They just about fell off their chairs. They said they thought that it would take 2 to 3 years to make it profitable. And so they bundled me up, and I had the choice of Sydney or Melbourne as to where I wanted to go and live. And coming from Perth, I thought, well, Sydney's, you know, that's too busy. So I'll go to Melbourne. And I didn't realise that there were trams over here. So I used to be scared driving in Melbourne with trams around. I nearly ran somebody over the first time. And so that's how I ended up sort of then getting involved with corporate, and corporate didn't sit that well for me. I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I would. So you've got to be careful what you wish for.
Oh, sure. It's for sure. I totally identify with the coming to Melbourne as a stranger, not growing up here, and all those horrible U-turn things and hook turns in the city and things like that. So yes, it is. Yeah. And I completely identify with not being very happy in corporate, and we have quite similar backgrounds, because even though I was actually repping into veterinary clinics for a lot of years, I did the same sort of thing. I used my products to actually help them create a business model. So it's quite uncanny. So that's quite a long time now. And from there, so you said that you recognize that people needed instruction and assistance with all kind of facets of business. So, you know, the accounting, the marketing, presumably there'll be some kind of, you know, legal aspects as well. So a complete business package. How did that then kind of morph in kind of where you are now? How did that get?
Yeah. I used to be on the road. So I ended up in corporate. So I was national sales manager for this organisation. And I spent 9 months of the year on the road. So that's 9 months of the year living out of a suitcase and putting out spot fires and putting out big bushfires and all that sort of thing. And it is draining and it is exhausting. And I couldn't keep down a relationship because I was traveling all the time. And there was just one day that I went, do you know what? I'm actually not enjoying this anymore. This isn't for me. And I went to HR and I said, look, I want to stay with the company, but I don't want to do this anymore. So I actually took a sidestep, much to a lot of people's shock, but it also freed up a lot of time. So at that time, I also went and did my life coaching course. So I studied that part-time while I was working full-time. And then I thought, hang on a minute, I've really got a big business background. So I then went and did the business stream as well. So that's when I opened up my business, which originally was called Clarity Coaching. And in that time also, I met and married my now husband. So it's amazing that the universe, when you say, this isn't what I want, and this is what I really do want, it opens up opportunities and things just happen. And And that's how I ended up in business, because I just had had enough. And
Yeah,
I think a lot of people get to that point as well.
definitely. Or they become psychologically unemployable, as I describe myself.
Yeah, I think I got to that point too.
What would you say then, though, that drove you? What would be the thing? I mean, because I think, you know, you can have a vision and you can be hungry for things, but there's got to be something that actually gets you to really put that into action.
Well, I really wanted to not have to work for somebody else. I didn't want to have somebody tell me when I could take holidays, when I could, you know, I would pack my bags on a Sunday night, and I would come home Friday night or Saturday morning, and then I would pack my bags again on Sunday. I missed so much opportunity, personal opportunity. And I didn't want somebody else dictating my life anymore. I was on an amazing salary. It was like incredible. I don't think those salaries are around anymore. I think as we've left, the salaries have come down. So I was in the heyday of it. And I miss that salary, don't get me wrong. Oh, I'd love that again. But I just didn't want to be dictated to anymore. And I knew that if I wanted that, I had to make this work. So my drive was not to go back to my old life. That was my drive. That was, if I didn't make it work, I had to go back.
And that's actually a really interesting point, because there's a lot of people, I think, especially women who they start a small business, maybe they're on maternity leave, or there's something that happens that causes them to think, well, I'll branch out and do this. But there's quite a few who, because they've got one foot in both camps, end up going back to the salary, back to the safety zone. What do you think it was about you, really, that made that, like, I'm doing this, I'm grasping it? Is that just something innate, do you think?
I think you also have to be aware that there are going to be times, and I actually posted a quote from Oprah Winfrey on the Connect Her page today. You know, sometimes you're going to have to do things that you don't want to do. And if it means that you can still keep your business going, but you're going to have to pick up a couple of days a week of work, do it. You know, don't be shy about it. Don't worry about it. If it means that it's going to keep you being able to pursue your passion, then do it. Don't, let your passion go just because, just because you have to. If there's a way that you can work it, it might be, pick up an extra day a week, or it might be, I've got a friend of mine, she walks dogs. She walks dogs 3 days a week so that she can keep her passion project going. And she doesn't particularly like dogs, but she knows that if she doesn't do it, she's going to have to go back to her old work, and she doesn't want to. So,
And I think that's, those of us who've been around you, have seen your passion for Connect Her, and we know just, how connected to Connect Her you are. And you took that from this kind of bubble of an idea that had been brewing on the back burner, excuse me, but you got that live from, like, on paper to live in 15 days. I mean, how does, if that's not action being lived, I don't know what is. How did you manage that?
That's being a crazy woman. No, what happened was, a lot of people know that I had brought Heartlink Network over from America. So when I was talking about, starting a business, and all of a sudden, there isn't an accounting department, there isn't a marketing department, I found out that networking was one of the best ways to get your business out there. And I learned that through listening to podcasts. And I listened to this podcast from a woman called Dawn Billings, and she talked about how men and women do business differently. And at the end it said, if you're interested in finding out more about Dawn, this is her website, and it was the Heartlink Network. Prior to that, because I had, realised that networking was a great opportunity, and I'd been invited to other types of networking events, which were fantastic, but I didn't have the budget for it. I just paid for a website. I had some nice trifold double-sided brochures and a business card, and that was all I had. So I started creating another program, which was called, you're not going to believe this, Jane, Women's Link. So I had penned out this women's networking organisation called Women's Link.
Wow.
I then heard the podcast about Dawn Billings and actually bought HeartLink over. So that's how that came about. Then Caroline Dawson, who I think is still on listening, I had won a door prize to go and do some EFT tapping, your emotional freedom technique.
Yep.
So I went and did the course, and I ended up doing the whole course with Carolyn, and I had a major breakthrough. And one of those things was that I always promoted other people. So it was always other people's stuff that I did. I was always the person in the background. If there was a photo, there'd be that person and then me sort of in the background. And I just thought, I've actually got a lot to share. I've got a lot of information. And I think I also doubted myself somewhat. And EFT tapping broke through that. And so before the end of the course, I had come up with a logo. And I kept a notebook. I can't find the actual one that I normally have, but it's about this size. I keep one of these in my handbag, and whenever I'm, going to a meeting and somebody's late, I'll just jot down little ideas. So it's like my ideas folder. And in that little folder was, you're not going to believe this, but the layout of Connect Her.
Wow.
With, I had different names, including Mob, which was, it was Mob Women anyway, Motivated, I can't remember. But anyway, I had all these different names, and Connect Her just kept jumping out. And so by the time I finished that course, I just sat down and I basically got all the ideas out of my notebook, put them on a big spreadsheet, and then built a website. And actually, no, I hadn't really built the website yet. I needed some help with it. I actually went on to Sticky Tickets and I put the event on for I think it was the 19th of March.
Is it March? Okay.
Yeah, 19th of March 2019. And I thought, okay, I've got to have everything ready before that date, so I better move my butt. And so I just did everything that I possibly could.
I love
and
it.
worked towards that
go
date.
for it.
Exactly, because do you know what happens, Jane? If you don't set a date, if you don't give yourself a deadline, nothing happens. Yeah. So I just set that date, and which was actually 15 days. So 2 weeks out. And I thought, I have to have these ideas into some succinct program, and I'm going to put it out there and see if people turn up. And I didn't just put it up there and see if people turned up. I phoned people, I emailed people, I did a lot of phone calls, a lot of Facebook, and thought, let's just, see if anybody shows up, and book tickets. And boom, I just had tickets, bang, bang, bang. And the first one you were at.
Yeah, I think and I think it came up on Facebook for me. I really can't remember, but I just remember thinking, oh, this looks like it's something different, and really, totally loving it when I went along to the very first one. Otherwise I wouldn't have been part of it.
Yeah. So look, when I laid it all out, it was always about 3 key factors, and it was about bringing women together for inspiration, education, and connection. Mm-hmm. Because, and so long as I made sure that I set within those 3 criteria, that's how the program played out and came about.
And why women only? I think you have already hinted at that, but what, in the way that they do things differently, but what made you just made a really conscious decision that it was going to be just women at these events?
I think women have so much to offer each other, and we create such a magic when we all get together. And when we sit around a table and have a cup of coffee, or these days we're virtual, we're in a virtual meeting, we can really lift each other up. We can really help each other. And I think sometimes women don't feel comfortable talking with men about issues in their business. And part of Connect Her, I wanted it to have that synergy circle where we could brainstorm and support each other in what our needs are for our business. And men tend to take over that because they just want to fix, you know, they're the mechanics, they want to fix it. They don't want to let us talk about it. We want to talk about it. We want to tell people, I feel shit because I can't get bums on seats. They want to go, well, you've got to do this. And we don't want that at a meeting. We want to express our emotions. We want a safe environment. There's so many networking events out there that are mixed. So, you know, there's always opportunities to go to mixed events. I'm not against men. In fact, my husband has had a lot of input into Connect Her. So he helped me with pricing initially. I run ideas past him and he goes, oh, they won't like that. And I'm like, yes, they will. I don't want your feedback. So then he'll try and fix it. It's like, I don't want you to fix it. So, yeah, it's quite, you know, funny how that sort of comes about. So it's not that I'm against men. I just think that we are just so supportive of each other and we can support each other. That's another reason that we don't have guest speakers at our events. We all have amazing knowledge, and I'm sure anybody that has been listening today, they have no idea that, you know, that I had a corporate background or, you know, over 35 years in pharmacy, or that you were a vet representative. So, you know, we've all got these stories and stuff that we bring from all areas of our lives. And if somebody comes up and says, I've got an issue with this, somebody around the table has got some sort of way to help look at it a different way.
Absolutely. And you know, I think that's another one of the beauties of not having that annual membership, the fact that we can pop in and out to meetings, especially since they've been online. It's been amazing, because a number of times I've been to a meeting where whilst we have the focus topic, you know, the discussion just goes off in completely different directions. And again, the synergy circles, you might have the same question or concern that comes up at two meetings and get completely different outcomes. So yeah,
absolutely.
I think it's so valuable and vastly underestimated. And like you said, you know, none of us like being told what to do. We like to explore and as you said,
and work through it.
Feeling about things.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And the other thing too, Jane, is that it's a safe environment. And you're right, we've got you can have the same question come up and you get so many different answers and so many different ideas that come up. Every single week that I go on a Connect Her meeting, and I go to a lot of them, I come away with lists of ideas and think, oh my God, this is amazing. This is gold.
Yeah.
And if you were to go to a business consultant, so I'm not talking about a business coach that works with you on a regular basis. I'm talking about going to a consultant, like a marketing consultant or a business consultant, you'd be looking at hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And some of the things that have come through the Synergy Circle, if somebody was to take that to a business coach or a marketing coach, they would be up in the thousands of dollars, yet they're paying a small fee to connect with a lot of women and also to get all this feedback on their business. It's pretty incredible.
And I certainly know that I think that, I know I've had the experience of you know, certainly having a one-on-one coffee with someone, and theirs was just a business that I knew absolutely nothing about, but the value in that is that you look at it with completely different eyes, and you don't ask the obvious questions. You do go, well, why can't they work that way, or how would it be if you did it this way? Because you're not constrained by their industry norms and standards and issues. So I think it does just by brainstorming, like you said, with a whole load of viewpoints, you get some really valuable stuff out of it.
For sure. I love it. As I said, I come away with loads of notes. I have my notebook. I've got my, where is it? I carry this everywhere. It's my ideas and inspiration book. And it's just pages and pages of notes. And every time, you know, I have an idea or something comes up at a Connect Her event, it goes in here. And I might not need it this week. I might not need it this month, but I go back and I might need it in 3 months, and I've been back over notebooks, years of notebooks.
So I bet there's some. That's good to know. And I'm similar. I have a notebook that I do carry around with me. You probably refer back to yours more than I do, which is what makes you more of an action woman than me. But anyway, so given that you always have got something on the go, what would you say is coming up? If you could, anything you can tease us that you can give us, given that obviously as your leader, we don't know yet. But what's your vision for moving forward?
Well, I think there's a lot of things that come out of our Connect Her events, and there is an opportunity that we will be sharing with people that go to networking events, that we will have some resources. Some will be free and some will be paid for, that will be coming up over the next 3 months. And like some really, really good resources that you're going to be like, oh my God, this is amazing. So that's what I'm working on at the moment. I'm also working on just, you know, looking at what people want out of Connect Her. So I've got my vision of what it is, but what others, and we even I put up something in the collective just recently about what do people like about virtual events and going to a venue event. And it's really come up that there's opportunity there for us to continue having virtual events long after the restrictions are lifted and you know, things get back to whatever our new normal will be. So there's those opportunities as well. So
it's funny you say that, because I mean, I feel like I'm often one of these people that has these ideas, and because I don't act on them, all of us, but I put them out there in the universe, and then they're coming into fruition. Because we talked about online networking.
Yes. 12 months ago. I don't know how that'll work.
And here we are doing it. So there you go.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
as you say, everybody's embracing it and loving it. So I think that's really probably one of the most surprising things that's come out of it, don't you?
I think that you know, it's dreadful that people have lost jobs, businesses have gone under. There's illness and you know, people have lost lives and loved ones, and you know, they actually think that I probably had COVID when I got sick when I came back from Perth, and it's just horrible. But I think this is a huge opportunity, and I know for Connect Her, it's been a massive opportunity for us to relook at how we deliver, what we deliver. And I think if people can get over the horrible stuff that it has brought to, but just have a look at this. There's a huge amount of opportunities that are available to all businesses. I mean, we've had, just recently I've been to, you know, an Arbonne virtual event, which was, you know, it was great. It was 15 minutes. I sat there and scoffed down my dinner as I'm thinking, what am I going to order? It was fabulous. There was another body shop event that I went to for someone else. I couldn't make it. I had something else on, but I could watch the replay, and I could, you know, do an order over Messenger and things like that. It's opened up. Those are businesses that have seen that there's an opportunity. So it doesn't have to stop. You know, that we can expand our opportunities on that. So I think it's being visionary to have a look at how you can take this and move it into other platforms within your business. I was saying that we sort of pivoted from being venue-based to virtual. I actually have changed my thought pattern now and think we didn't pivot. We've built a bridge to a new opportunity. And this is where we've all heard, you know, pivot your business, pivot your business. I'm thinking, actually, don't worry about pivoting. Build a bridge to a new opportunity, because there's so much you can do with your businesses. I've seen Carolyn Ahern is doing some great posts. She's a travel agent. Now, they've taken a massive hit, but she's doing beautiful posts about, you know, Kings Park and giving you little, you know, information. This is fantastic for us to know about Carolyn after everything's, you know, settled down and we can go back to travel. So, you know, she's, again, embraced opportunities. So that's me. I'll get off my rant, but yeah.
Okay, just looking at some of the comments, Carolyn saying she's been very proud of you watching your journey since that day of your breakthrough. And Connect Her has a great energy, produced some amazing ladies, and every minute of the meetings are productive. I love it. And Mary Unwin, ideas, notebooks are so valuable. So there's some great comments there, and I think we'll go back and talk about it. I'm just mindful of time now. How long have we got? We got 30 minutes. Or we got an hour.
We've got 45 minutes. So probably about another 10, because we'll do the shout outs at the end.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
So if anybody's got any questions too, there, feel free to put them through.
I think one of the things I certainly love about Connect Her, that I think makes it, certainly one of the things I found about Connect Her is it's not at all intimidating. I think even with some women's only networking events, you can kind of go in and there's that you're very much left to your own devices in terms of meeting people. You might get 1 or 2 minutes to kind of chat to somebody else. But I think the whole keeping the numbers small, keeping it intimate, keeping it accessible, and then going away with a couple of dedicated people that you're going to catch up with is really, really valuable. So when you do your little Connect Her coffee catch-ups, what would be a couple of really valuable high gain questions that because I think one of the things about those coffee catch-ups, they're about finding out who the person is behind the business, aren't they, really? So that, because we know we do business with people we like and we trust and all those sorts of things. So what would be a couple of questions that you found really valuable to ask people?
I always go into coffee catch-ups with the intent of finding out 2 new things about somebody. And I used to do this when I was in sales as well. And I would find out 2 new things. It didn't matter what it was. It didn't have to be anything business related. I'll tell you who's the best person I've ever seen with that, and it's my husband. He just has no boundaries. He'll just ask them. He came back from a walk this morning and he goes, oh, you know those 2 old people that run past all the time? And I go, yeah. And he goes, oh, they live in Edithvale. He's been running for 55 years and he's 83. I'm like, how does he know this? He's been out walking. He's fantastic at it. And he's taught me a lot too. So I always try and find out 2 things about somebody that are really, really different. So, and as I said, it doesn't have to be about business. So quite often I'll ask people, you know, what's the one thing you love about your business? And, or I'll find out what their family life is like. So, you know, what do you do for fun? Because when we go to a Connect Her event, what happens is it's like 2 minutes of speed dating. We get to find out a little bit about them.
Excuse my husband in the background, people. He doesn't realise, obviously, that I didn't have my green screen up. So
that's all right.
Go away.
Hello.
Sorry, girl.
So, no, that's fine. So I asked them, you know, what is, you know, something that's fun and that you do, or because, you know, there's amazing things like one lady I know, she loves to ride. She does bike riding, and she wants to eventually go overseas and bike ride all around Europe. You don't find out about that at a networking event where you get 2 minutes to find out about their business. So, and so then if I know that, I can be on the lookout, or if something comes across my computer that is going to be interesting, that's around bike riding, I can send that to her. And so I'm staying connected with her on a different level than I just want to sell to you, or I just want to stay in touch. So it's not about getting, it's about, that whole receiving. So it's things like that. So,
and I think what you just hit on there is exactly, the essence of what I was about to ask you next, which is what makes someone a great networker. But I think it is that, and it comes back to where we started, which is about being of service and understanding someone so that you can be of service to them. What's been a time for you when that clicked, when you realized that that's the essence?
I can't say there was a particular day or a particular time or anything like that. I realized that, I'm a natural talker. I can't shut up. I could talk underwater with a mouthful of marbles and you'd still understand what I was saying. My biggest thing that I've had to learn, and I still am not brilliant at it, is listening. And I think if you can develop your skills as a listener, and introverts are perfect at networking because they are listeners. I'm this bloody, chip. I never stop. So when I go to a coffee catch up, I really have to hold myself back to not talk, and to ask questions. And that's the best way to not talk, is to ask a question and then listen, and be listening with ears of service. So it's not just listening to, I'll ride a bike. It's, okay, well, how can I help this person? Listening with service ears is my tip.
Yeah, well, I think Covey put it, didn't he, many years ago, about listening not with the intent to respond, or reply, but to respond, I think it was, so that you actually are listening. So listening for that undercurrent of what it is that is their need. And I agree with you. I mean, I grew up as a natural chatterbox, and I think people still think I am an extrovert. I'm actually a trained introvert. So I'm quite happy to be by myself for days and days on end. But I think, that listening and then clarifying. I think when you do learn coaching skills, then you do understand that you can hear something, but until you've clarified that you've heard it, you don't really know if you know. So
you always want to repeat back too. If somebody said something to you, you repeat back so that they understand that you have understood what they've said, and it's another way for your subconscious to take it in as well. So,
and again, I think that's a skill that comes much more naturally to women than it does to men, unfortunately, because you just say they always want to fix things.
I do have to tell you that my dad used to call me Motor Mouth when I was younger. So there you go. That's where
that's better than the nickname I've had, which is Little Miss Can't Be Wrong. So
I love it.
So what do you think? Somebody's here, Esther's saying, when do we think that Connect Her coffee catch-ups will restart? I don't think they haven't stopped really, though, Esther. I mean, they've just morphed a bit. But I suspect that you're asking about when do they start in face-to-face. What do you think? What are your thoughts, Lee?
Well, our Connect Her events will stay at this point in time virtual, because we also have to be mindful of the venues that we attend, because they have limits. However, our catch-ups can certainly be at venues now, but I think I would say to people, be mindful how long you're going to be there. You don't want to spend an hour and a half taking up a seat and just having a coffee. So, that sort of thing. But Connect Her has been running. We haven't stopped. That's still going.
Yeah. And look, I think it's alternatives. Find a bridge. We, pick up a coffee and go for a walk with someone. You don't have to sit in a cafe. You can make an agreement with each other. You're going to wear active wear and get on the bike or go for a walk and still talk and still catch up. There's no nothing saying it has to be face to face in a coffee shop at this stage.
Yeah.
But
we had a great catch up around the lake, didn't we? A couple of times.
We did. Yeah, that was a long while ago now.
Yes, it was a very long time ago. Well,
awesome.
We might check some of the comments. What do you think?
Yeah, I have been kind of having a look at those. So Esther says her hubby sounds like a lot. Well, thank you, Lee, for all the value you're giving and learning about you. Now, that one is a Facebook user you might have to check out. Who did that one? That was only a minute ago.
That is Georgina Goltzius. So I hope I said it right, Georgina.
I never know how to pronounce Georgina's name either, but she's a lovely lady.
So thank you. And we've got Julie Barker, like that. Mary, listening to understand. Yes, I've got to do more of that. So,
there's a few of you on.
Excellent. Yes.
Mary, the business coach deadlines make a difference to performance. They certainly do.
Well, Jane, do you have any more questions for me?
I don't think I really do, unless there's something you're burning to tell us, Lee, that I haven't asked you about, because I think, you know, you've created an amazing model. We all clearly love it. And I just want to say congratulations to you for doing that, for creating such an accessible model. I think that gives, I think, you know, when you coach that you go, you're the expert in your own life. And I think people don't get that. So to be able to have that forum where we all sit around and we can be the experts in our life, but it actually means that we can contribute to somebody else's life. And I think that's what Connect Here is all about. It's about contribution. And that's what I value so much about it. So thank you for the opportunity for me to be part of it and for me to come here and do this interview with you, because I think it's great